Hi guys, I'm Linda.
And I'm Vicki.
And we are Partners in Crime. And what are we going to talk about today, Vicki?
We are going to talk about women who fall in love and are attracted to men that are in prison. It's always been a fascination of mine to wonder why. What the heck are they doing? I know that I couldn't be.
No.
You know, I was looking for certain characteristics and traits in someone that I could fall in love with. And being a criminal is not one of them.
No. And we were both single parents, single moms with children. So after, obviously when you first get married, you're not hopefully with a criminal. But after, we still didn't want a criminal, but there are different things that you look for, especially when you have children after you learn the lessons of your first marriage.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, for some reason, there are women who that's what gets them turned on by being with these kind of men. And it's been throughout the years. There's been women who've been attracted to serial killers. Richard Ramirez, he's definitely a serial killer. He's gotten lots of groupie fan mail. I don't know if he was one who ever got married while he was in prison, but
I don't know.
He had a lot of women after him.
He freaks me out when I see him.
Yeah.
A lot of them do, but I just feel like he looks evil.
Yeah,
just to me, just like Charles Manson.
Right. If you watch any of his clips while he was on trial, and he would turn around and smirk, and it's just not a nice person at all. And people like Charles Manson, and as recently as Scott Peterson, they're all getting marriage proposals. And we know Scott Peterson was who killed his wife and his unborn child. Still getting lots of interest from women. Now, it used to be years ago that if you were someone who was interested in meeting a prisoner, it had to be done organically. You had to either know somebody that knew them, you wrote to them directly, or, there are lawyers, even some lawyers got involved with some of these prisoners.
Yeah.
But in today's world, women can meet these prisoners by going on websites. And there are 3 really good ones, and let me find their names. Really good ones.
Really good. Ooh, can't wait to find them.
There are ones that are more commonly used, is a better word.
We know what you mean.
Yeah.
Where people flock to, that's what you're trying to say.
Right. And they are prisonpenpals.com, prisonmailbag.com, convictmailbag.com, and meetaninmate.com. And there is a woman who wrote a book. Her name is Sheila Isenberg. And she the name of her book is Women Who Love Men That Kill. And when this book was published, it got a lot of attention. And she was interviewed on shows like 2020, The Today Show, Good Morning America, lots of other news outlets.
Okay.
And she did a lot of research to find out what this phenomenon is. And in her interviews, doing research, she talked to social workers, psychiatrists, prison guards, lawyers, just trying to shed a light on what the heck this is.
It's not normal. It's not the norm. And you would kind of want to know, why would someone want to do this?
Right, and she found commonalities in the women that are involved. And she found that most of the time, these are women who experience some kind of abuse in their earlier life. So the abuse could have been physical, it could have been mental, it could have been emotional. This abuse could have been by their fathers, by their husbands, by strangers, and other relatives. And especially sexual abuse.
Okay.
That was something that she focused on. And she finds that when you're involved with, if you're one of these women who've had this kind of experience, when you're involved with a prisoner, you're in control.
Okay.
You can decide if you're going to talk to them on the phone. You can decide if you're going to visit them. You're not so easily, well, I was going to say you're not so easily manipulated, but who knows that.
Yeah.
But they're free, basically. They're on the outside and the prisoner is on the inside. So it's safety for them. It's safe. The other thing she said, and this is interesting, that she found that most of the women, not all, but most of the women were Catholic that were involved. And
that's really interesting.
yeah, I don't know what she delved into with that, but definitely. And so that's the big secret about why they get involved, and it's not. It's because of the safety of it, and then they think they're madly in love. And it's women from all different socioeconomic groups. There's rich ones, poor ones, married ones, ones without children, ones with children, single, and again, it was people overwhelmingly that were Catholic.
And I guess when you say they're in control, this is true because they decide when they're going to be there. They can't do anything. They can't really hurt them.
Right.
Because they're being watched. Even if they have conjugal visits, I'm sure they're still monitored because they can't, they don't want them to hurt their or significant other or their wife.
Or bake a knife inside a cake.
Or exactly, give them something
to do harm with.
So...
Excuse me.
That is pretty interesting, I would say, that to them they feel like they're in control, and the Catholic thing is very intriguing as well.
I don't,
I'm Catholic, so I understand. I've lived in that. I was brought up this way, so I'm kind of wondering.
Evil. I mean, they're basically considered evil people. So why would someone that is Catholic and has a certain way of life and doing good, and I just
like, how do you justify that? How do you justify that this person?
Well, that's the next thing.
Okay.
There are huge numbers of prisoners that have women that follow them, and when they fall in love, they justify the behavior of the person they fall in love with. Things like they didn't mean it. They're a changed person now. It was an accident. They just come up with reasons for justifying their behavior. They found God now. And they're groupies. These women they're following these notorious killers.
Right.
And there's a lot of them who marry them.
Do these women honestly think that they are the only woman in their lives?
Well, they can't if they're going on a website and finding these men, and they have to see that there's probably other women that are, but they're marrying them.
Yeah.
So I think they're feeling because they chose her to marry, that they're the one that
they're
really
like
counts.
a sister wife. They're the main wife.
They're the main wife, right.
Wow.
Now, also what's interesting, there was a psychologist, his name is John Money, and he coined a term for the mental health reasons why women might fall in this category. And he calls them, and I got to read this because it's very weird, hybristophilia. And it's basically when women are sexually aroused by men who commit murder or rape or other outrageous crimes. This could be why, like, serial killer Ted Bundy got married and fathered a child while he was in prison. Excuse me. So the Menendez brothers, they've been in the news recently. They both are happily married despite being in prison for years.
Wow.
And for some reason, hybristophilia women are drawn to true crime and murders. And, you know, in a way, there's a whole scenario, a whole wave of true crime enthusiasts, such as Linda and I.
So that non-hybristo, that means we are not like that.
We are not like that.
Got it.
But we have
don't want to be like that.
Right, we have a fascination.
Okay. So we're trying to understand it.
Right. We have a fascination with these people. And
but these women that are turned on do not have a fascination. They're just
they're into it. They're sank into it, and they're specifically targeting people that they could have a relationship with. Excuse me.
So this is a personality type. He's coining this as a personality type. Okay.
He calls it a mental health condition. Now, when you look at the current wave of true crime fascination, there's a lot of us out there. There's so many YouTubers who are focusing on true crime events and serial killers and people that commit heinous crimes.
Yeah.
So what is the fascination? Why do we get so involved on this level?
Right.
With these heinous crimes? So
have you thought about it?
I know why I do, and I'm interested in the psychology of it. What goes on in somebody's mind that makes them snap or be willing to kill another person? For what reason? What happens to them?
Right.
And I think I don't know if I mentioned it in another video before. I'm also interested in the law process behind it. And that can be convoluted. I mean, there's justice and there's injustice, and what makes them what is it about the legal system that can either dismiss a crime or, you know, just look at it in a different way.
Right.
They look at the legalities. Are they being presented correctly? Circumstantial evidence against non-circumstantial evidence. I mean, these are the things that I'm attracted to. And at one point in my life, I did get accepted to law school. I didn't go because I had a young child at home at the time, and I felt like I would not be with her enough.
Yeah, all of your time.
And, you know, when I was going, it was for criminal law. That's what I wanted to do. So it is that level of interest that I have.
Yeah.
And why?
I think I've been intrigued, again, for the psychology part of it, to understand. And I think I've read before that a lot of people are drawn to this because you want to know that the person living next to you or the person that's sleeping next to you doesn't have these type of signs. There's not these red flags that are, you know, going off that you're like, oh no. So you kind of feel safer knowing that your environment doesn't have this type of person in it. So it's kind of looking at what they did, the red flags that they had put up there, so you know that if that comes across or you're introduced to someone like this, that you
can identify
your distance,
it.
Yes, and keep your distance.
But you know that we've seen some cases where there is no evidence that they're going to do this.
Yeah. It just happens.
It just happens. They snap. Something goes on that makes them lose it.
Yeah.
And, that to me is just so interesting. And with Chris Watts, we know that there was another woman involved. But why the heck? What's wrong with divorce? What in his brain said, I'm not going to get a divorce, unless it was just because he didn't want to have to deal with the fallout.
Alimony, child support, or who knows, there's speculation that this other person might not have felt like they would have been number one, because there's always these children involved. And there's been, even women have done this to their own children. There are other cases where women kill their children because they want to be with this other person. So
that was Susan Smith.
Yeah. Yep.
Who drove her 2 kids into
the
river or something.
The pond or something. Yeah. So it happens. We don't know what builds up to this.
I think too that emotions, especially when you think you're in love, that you don't really see that. You're too blinded by your emotion.
Or you don't want to accept it, too.
Or you don't want to accept it.
Yeah.
And I think that's, leads us back to these women that are going with these prisoners. They just don't want to accept that in reality, they're not good people.
And they'd rather have someone in their lives.
Exactly.
They don't care who that person is. There's just someone that pays attention to them every so often, and they feel like they are important in someone's life. So it's kind of sad, but I do understand when you say they feel like they're in control. That makes sense.
Right. Now, again, this I looked at this woman, this writer who did the research and did, that this is her summary of what she found. If anybody out there feels differently, if anyone is involved with someone who is in prison, and you have something else that you want to add and give us additional insight, that would be great.
And we won't share your name if you don't want us to know, because there is an email on our YouTube channel, so you can always email us directly too if you don't want to.
Right, and we would love to have that exchange. And if you would want to be part of the group and sit and talk with us, we would like that too.
Yeah.
But if not, just comment or respond to the email address, and if you're not willing to come forward, we can talk about it for you.
Yeah, we would love to tell your story for sure.
Right. So please do. We would really welcome that opportunity.
And I think it could be actually helpful for both of us, or not necessarily both of us, but for our viewers and you as well. You can explain yourself, which would give us a better understanding, and people wouldn't be as judgmental. I think why people judge is because they don't have all the facts, and they don't hear the other side of the story. They don't hear how this all wound up being the reasons why this is something that they feel comfortable with. Just like when Vicky said that these people feel like they're in control. That totally made sense. If these women are living their lives and they've never had control of anything, it makes perfect sense, not purple sense, but perfect sense that they find this to be something that they can control. And that's why,
Right, and that struck me too, as one of the predominant reasons why they would do it. But then again, we might have other reasons. So I'd really like to hear, we'd like to hear it. And, we don't want to present just one narrow-minded narrative.
Right.
So, it would be great to know.
Yep, we're open, and, enlighten us, because we would love that. I would prefer not to judge someone based on what I know and my circumstances and my experiences. I can understand if somebody gives me their perspective and their experiences,
Right.
then it kind of opens your eyes to that
Right.
sort
And
of thing.
I
So,
personally never knew anybody
I haven't either.
who was involved. So
Yeah.
it would be helpful to know someone.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a murderer. It could be someone that's just been in jail. They just constantly, do the wrong thing.
Right.
That's just as,
Exactly.
yeah, that would be something that we would like to talk about as well. So, what do we need to tell our viewers?
Well, we would like you to subscribe and hit the thumbs up, and also the little bell,
Right.
because when you hit that little bell, you'll get a notification whenever we have new content up. And share.
Yes.
Please share our video. You can share it with any Facebook groups or Twitter or whatever other platforms you might
Yep.
be involved with.
Yep. Instagram, anything like that. We'd really appreciate it. Reddit, it's a big one.
Yeah.
So,
And we it helps us because then we get more feedback
right.
from more people that have other points of view.
Yeah.
And
let us know what you want us to talk about.
yeah, for
We'd
sure.
appreciate that too.
Okay.
All right. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.